The red dust of Mars swirled around the Alliance exploration vessel as it landed near the base of Olympus Mons. Captain James Miller watched through the viewscreen as his team's sensors picked up something unusual. A massive underground structure that didn't match any known human or alien architecture. How did we miss this for so long? He wondered aloud, his blue fingers tapping nervously on the control panel. Like all members of the Alliance, he had hoped to find something on Mars that could help turn the tide of the war. The Dominion forces had pushed humanity to the brink of extinction, and Earth's defenses were failing. The Discovery team, made up of both aliens and humans, made their way through the dusty corridors of what appeared to be an ancient military facility. Their lights revealed walls covered in faded warnings and military insignias from the resource wars of 2157. Dr. Anna White, the team's human historian, stopped suddenly in front of a massive blast door. "This is incredible," she whispered, brushing away decades of dust from a panel. "This facility, it's Project Guardian. It was supposed to be a myth." The team worked for hours to restore power to the facility. When the lights finally flickered on, they revealed rows of cryogenic pods stretching into the distance. Most had failed over the centuries, their occupants lost to time. But in the center of the facility, 5 pods still hummed with power. "They're alive," Dr. White said, her voice filled with awe and fear. "These are the super soldiers from the resource wars, the ones they called the Guardians." Captain Miller studied the vital signs displayed on the ancient monitors. "Are you sure about this? The war stories about these soldiers, they say they were more weapon than human. The history files say Project Guardian was shut down because the enhancement procedures were considered too extreme," Dr. White explained, pulling up old records on her tablet. "But these soldiers, they were the peak of the program. Enhanced strength, speed, tactical processing, accelerated healing. They were the most effective fighting force ever created." The Alliance Council debated for 3 days before giving permission to revive the soldiers. Earth couldn't wait any longer. The Dominion's forces were less than a month from breaking through the last defensive line. Dr. White supervised the revival process for the first pod. The occupants' vital signs began to stabilize as the cryogenic fluid drained. Inside lay a man who looked to be in his mid-30s, his body covered in old scars and the characteristic markings of military enhancement procedures. Commander Thomas Grant opened his eyes for the first time in 200 years. His enhanced mind immediately assessed his surroundings, categorizing threats and advantages before he even sat up. His first words were crisp and military. "Status report." The medical team stepped back, startled by his alertness. Dr. White stepped forward. "Commander Grant, I'm Dr. Anna White. The year is 2357. You've been in cryogenic sleep for 2 centuries." Grant's enhanced mind processed this information with remarkable calm. "My team. 4 other pods are still viable. We're reviving them now." Grant stood, his enhanced muscles adjusting quickly despite the long sleep. He walked to the window, looking out at the Martian landscape. "Why wake us now?" Captain Miller stepped forward, his blue alien features causing Grant to tense momentarily. "Earth is at war, Commander. We're losing badly. Humanity faces extinction within months unless something changes." Grant turned to watch as his team began to wake. Lisa Reed, his second in command, already sitting up in her pod. His enhanced vision could see the subtle changes in their vital signs displayed on the monitors. "All stable. All combat ready." "Brief me on everything," Grant ordered, his tactical processors already running combat scenarios. "Enemy capabilities, current forces, strategic situation. Everything." As Miller began the briefing, Dr. White noticed something remarkable. The soldiers' enhancement markings were glowing faintly, their bodies already preparing for combat. These weren't just soldiers from the past, they were humanity's last hope for survival. And for the first time since the Dominion War began, that hope actually seemed realistic. The medical bay of the Alliance ship hummed with activity as the 5 super soldiers underwent their initial examinations. Commander Thomas Grant watched his team carefully while Dr. White checked their enhancement systems. The soft blue glow under their skin pulsed steadily, showing their modifications were still working after 2 centuries of sleep. Lisa Reed flexed her enhanced muscles, crushing a metal cup by accident. Still getting used to the strength, she said, looking at the crushed metal with mild surprise. Everything feels lighter than it should. Mars gravity, Dr. White explained, scanning Lisa's vital signs. It's about 1/3 of Earth's. Your enhanced strength makes it seem even less. The other 3 soldiers, Michael Torres, David Cooper, and Robert Wilson, were testing their reflexes. Their movements were impossibly fast, leaving afterimages in the air. A dropped medical tool was caught before it hit the ground, moving so quickly that the Alliance medical staff could barely see it happen. Captain Miller entered the medical bay, carrying historical records on a data tablet. Commander Grant, I think you should see this. He handed over the tablet, which showed news headlines from 2158, just months after the super soldiers had gone into cryo sleep. Grant read aloud. Project Guardian shut down. Ethical concerns over human enhancement. His face remained neutral, but his enhanced hearing picked up the slight increase in his teammates' heart rates. They shut down the program because they thought we were too dangerous, Lisa said, reading over his shoulder. All that work, all those sacrifices, they just ended it. Dr. White stepped forward. The public feared the enhancements had gone too far. They said it wasn't right to change humans so much. She paused, checking her readings. But now, your changes might be exactly what humanity needs. A loud alarm suddenly blared through the ship. Captain Miller rushed to a communication panel. Dominion scout ship detected. They must have tracked our landing on Mars. The super soldiers moved instantly, their enhanced reflexes taking over. Get us to the bridge, Commander Grant ordered. Time to see what 200 years of military advancement looks like. On the bridge, the Alliance crew watched in amazement as the 5 soldiers processed tactical information at incredible speeds. Their eyes moved rapidly across the displays, their enhanced minds calculating trajectories and battle plans faster than any computer. Standard Dominion attack pattern, Lisa said, her tactical processors already identifying weak points. But their technology. It's unlike anything we trained for. Different tech, same principles, Grant responded, his enhanced mind adapting to the new information. Their shield matrix has a pulse pattern. Torres, time their shield oscillation. Cooper, calculate weapon velocity. Wilson, map their blind spots. The soldiers called out numbers and coordinates faster than the Alliance crew could follow. Grant's plan formed in seconds. Captain Miller, on my mark. Fire your main guns at these coordinates. He transmitted the targeting data. Their shields will be at their weakest point in that exact spot. The Alliance crew watched in stunned silence as the plan unfolded. The Dominion ship, confident in its superior technology, never expected such precise timing. The Alliance weapons hit at exactly the right moment, slicing through the weakened shield section. The scout ship exploded spectacularly. Impossible, one of the Alliance officers whispered. We've never beaten a Dominion ship that easily. Grant turned to his team, noting their focused expressions, combat effectiveness at 97%. Enhancement systems fully operational. He looked at Captain Miller. Tell us everything about these Dominion forces. Their tactics, their technology, their weaknesses. We need to know it all. Dr. White, monitoring their biological readings, noticed something remarkable. The soldiers' enhancement markings were glowing brighter now, their bodies adapting and becoming even stronger. The old experiments hadn't just created super soldiers, they had created warriors who could evolve and adapt to any threat. For the first time in years, the Alliance crew allowed themselves to feel real hope. The legends of Project Guardian's super soldiers hadn't been exaggerated. If anything, they had underestimated just how powerful these enhanced humans really were. The war was about to change. The training room aboard the Alliance flagship buzzed with energy as Commander Grant's team learned about modern weapons. Their enhanced minds absorbed information at incredible speeds, turning 2 centuries of military advancement into easily understood data. "These plasma rifles pack more punch than anything we had," Lisa said, disassembling and reassembling a weapon in seconds. Her enhanced fingers moved so fast they blurred. "But the basic principles haven't changed. Point, shoot, kill." The Alliance combat instructors watched in amazement as the super soldiers mastered weapons that usually took months to learn. Michael Torres hit every target in the shooting range, his enhanced vision allowing him to see weak points that even the Alliance's best soldiers missed. "Their ability to learn is extraordinary," Captain Miller said to Dr. White, who monitored the soldiers' vital signs. "How is this possible?" Dr. White checked her readings. Their brains were enhanced to process information differently. "They don't just learn, they instantly understand and adapt. It's like they're upgrading themselves with every new piece of information." Commander Grant stopped his training session, his enhanced hearing picking up their conversation. "The enhancements were designed to make us perfect warriors," he explained, walking over. "Every experience makes us stronger, faster, better." Suddenly, David Cooper dropped his weapon and fell to one knee, his enhancement markings flashing brightly. Dr. White rushed to scan him, but Grant was already there, helping his soldier up. "The neural load," Dr. White said, reading her instruments. "Your brains are processing so much new information, it's causing stress on your enhancement systems." Robert Wilson joined them, his tactical processors already analyzing the situation. "We need to adapt faster. The Dominion won't wait for us to learn everything." Grant made a quick decision. "No more simulations. We need real combat experience." He turned to Captain Miller. "Your reports mention Dominion raiders hitting supply lines. Let us take them on." The Alliance Council debated for hours before agreeing. They couldn't risk losing their new advantage, but they also couldn't wait. The Dominion was pushing closer to Earth every day. 3 days later, Grant's team waited in an Alliance ship near a supply route. Their enhanced bodies had been fitted with modern armor, their old combat skills merged with new technology. They didn't have to wait long. "Dominion ships detected," Lisa announced, her enhanced vision spotting the raiders before the ship's sensors. 3 vessels, attack formation. Grant's team moved with perfect coordination. Their enhanced minds had already created dozens of battle plans, adapting to every possible scenario. When the Dominion ships attacked, they were ready. The battle was short but intense. The raiders, used to easy targets, found themselves facing enemies who could predict their every move. Grant's team used their enhanced strength to handle weapon recoil that would have knocked normal soldiers down, while their tactical processors found weaknesses in Dominion shields that no one had spotted before. In less than 10 minutes, 2 raider ships were destroyed. The third fled, broadcasting warning signals to other Dominion forces. "Mission successful," Grant reported, but he noticed something interesting. His team's enhancement markings were glowing brighter than ever, and their reaction times had improved by 3.7%. Dr. White confirmed his observation. "Your enhancements aren't just letting you adapt, they're evolving. You're becoming stronger by fighting this new enemy." Captain Miller looked at the battle data in amazement. One small team did what entire fleets couldn't do. The Dominion won't expect this. Grant watched his team check their weapons, noting how naturally they now handled the modern technology. Their old training combined with new knowledge made them more dangerous than ever. But he also saw the strain in their movements, the way their enhancement markings pulsed unevenly. They were adapting and evolving, yes, but at what cost? Grant kept this concern to himself. They had a war to win first. Everything else could wait. The real fight was just beginning. The Alliance Command Center buzzed with nervous energy as they prepared for their biggest attack yet. On the main screen, 30 Dominion warships guarded their forward base near Jupiter. This base had been launching attacks on Earth for months, and no one had managed to get close to it. Until now. Commander Grant stood at the tactical display, his enhancement markings glowing steadily as his mind processed the battle plan. Around him, his team checked their weapons one last time. Their recent raids had proven their worth. But this would be different. This was an all-out assault. "Remember," Grant said to his team, "we only get one shot at this. The Dominion thinks they know all our tricks. They don't know about us yet." Lisa Reed nodded, her enhanced vision already mapping attack vectors. "Their fleet formation has a weakness. They're protecting their command ship too obviously." "That's our target," Torres added, his tactical processors highlighting key points on the display. "Take out their leaders, and the rest will fall apart." The Alliance admiral watched them work with a mixture of hope and worry. "You'll be commanding our entire fleet for this attack. If this fails—" "It won't," Grant stated simply. His enhanced mind had run through thousands of possible scenarios. They had found the one path to victory. The battle began 3 hours later. The Alliance fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel right in the middle of the Dominion formation. It was a move so dangerous, so unexpected, that the enemy took crucial seconds to respond. That's all the time the super soldiers needed. "Now," Grant ordered. His team's enhanced reflexes guided the Alliance ships through gaps in the enemy formation that normal humans couldn't have seen. Their enhanced minds processed battlefield data faster than any computer, turning the chaotic space battle into a deadly dance. Lisa's voice cut through the command channel. "Their shields are adapting. Standard weapons won't work much longer. Switch to pattern Delta," Grant commanded. The Alliance ships moved in perfect coordination, their attacks hitting Dominion shields at precisely calculated points. The super soldiers' enhanced minds had figured out how to overload the enemy's defense systems through synchronized strikes. The first Dominion ship exploded, then another, and another. "Their command ship is trying to escape," Cooper reported, his enhanced vision tracking enemy movements. "They're realizing this isn't a normal attack." Grant's team coordinated the Alliance fleet with impossible precision. Ships moved in patterns that would have been too complex for normal commanders to manage. But the super soldiers could see it all, their enhanced minds turning the battle into a deadly mathematical equation. The Dominion command ship found itself trapped. Grant's calculations had predicted exactly where they would try to run. "All ships, full attack," Grant ordered. The Alliance fleet fired together, their weapons striking the command ship's weakened shields. The massive vessel broke apart in a spectacular explosion. Without their leaders, the remaining Dominion ships fell into chaos. Some tried to flee, others fought randomly. The super soldiers picked them apart one by one. In less than an hour, it was over. The entire Dominion fleet was destroyed or captured. Their forward base, once thought impregnable, fell easily without its defending ships. The Alliance command center erupted in cheers. For the first time in years, they had won a major victory. But Dr. White noticed something concerning as she checked the super soldiers' vital signs. Their enhancement markings were flickering unevenly. Their bodies showed signs of extreme stress. The neural load of commanding an entire fleet had pushed their modifications to the limit. Grant noticed her worry and gave a slight shake of his head. This wasn't the time for concern. They had finally proven what they could do. The Dominion would learn to fear them now. "Good work, everyone," he said to his team, hiding his own exhaustion. But this was just the beginning. The real fight is still ahead. The Alliance celebrated their victory, not noticing how the super soldiers' hands trembled slightly as they set down their tactical displays. They had won a crucial battle, but at what cost to themselves? The war was turning in their favor, but time was becoming their new enemy. Lisa Reed couldn't stop her hands from shaking as she examined the medical readout. The numbers confirmed what she had feared for weeks. Their bodies were breaking down. She found Commander Grant in the training room, his enhancement markings flickering weakly as he practiced with modern weapons. His usual perfect aim was off by millimeters, something only another enhanced soldier would notice. "Thomas," she said quietly, using his first name for the first time in years. "We need to talk." Grant lowered his weapon, his enhanced vision already reading the concern in her posture. The medical results. It's worse than we thought. Lisa displayed the data. Our enhancements are burning out our bodies. The neural load from adapting to modern warfare. The strain of pushing our abilities to the limit. We're breaking down at the cellular level. Their conversation was interrupted as Torres stumbled into the room, his enhancement markings pulsing erratically. Grant caught him before he fell. The strongest member of their team could barely stand. Dr. White rushed in with her medical team, but the super soldier's enhanced senses had already told them what was wrong. Torres's latest combat mission had pushed his modifications too far. How long? Grant asked Lisa as they watched the medical team work. At our current rate of deterioration, Lisa's tactical processors calculated quickly. Maybe a year. Less if we keep pushing ourselves this hard. Grant processed this information with his usual calm, but Lisa could see the subtle signs of stress in his posture. Their enhanced bodies had always come with a price, but now they knew exactly how high that price would be. The Alliance Council called an emergency meeting when they learned the news. The super soldiers had changed the course of the war, giving humanity its first real hope of victory. Losing them would be devastating. We found another cryo facility, Captain Miller reported during the meeting. But he paused, his blue features darkening with sadness. All the pods failed centuries ago. You 5 are the only ones left. Dr. White presented her findings to the council. Their enhancement procedures were more extreme than anything we've seen. The human body simply wasn't designed to handle this level of modification. Modern medicine can't reverse or stabilize the deterioration. The council chamber erupted in worried discussion. The Dominion was still powerful, still a threat. Without the super soldiers, they might lose everything they had gained. Grant stood, his voice cutting through the chaos. A year is more than enough time. His enhanced mind had already formulated a plan. We can end this war before then. But the cost, Dr. White began. We were always meant to be weapons, Grant said firmly. Now we know our expiration date. That's all. Later, in their private quarters, Lisa found Grant studying battle reports. His enhancement markings were glowing steadily again through sheer willpower. We're not telling the troops, he said before she could speak. They need to believe in us now more than ever. Lisa nodded, her tactical processors already understanding his logic. The Dominion is getting desperate after their losses. They'll make mistakes. Mistakes we'll exploit, Grant agreed. He pulled up a map of enemy territory. We have 1 year to make it count. To make sure all of this meant something. They were interrupted by an alert. Cooper and Wilson had collapsed during their patrol. Their enhancement markings were barely visible now. As they rushed to the medical bay, Lisa's enhanced mind calculated their remaining time. The estimate of 1 year had been optimistic. At this rate, they would be lucky to last 6 months. But they didn't need luck. They just needed enough time to finish what they had started. The war would end, one way or another. The only question was how many of them would live to see it. Warning alarms blared throughout Earth's orbital defense stations. The Dominion had launched their largest attack yet, a massive fleet of over 200 warships approaching Earth. Their desperate bid to end the war had begun. In the Alliance Command Center, Commander Grant watched the enemy ships appear on the tactical display. His enhancement markings flickered weakly, but his mind remained sharp. Beside him, Lisa Reed leaned heavily on the tactical table, her own enhancements pulsing irregularly. They're throwing everything they have at us, Torres said, his voice rough. The medical bay had released him just hours ago, though his enhanced body was barely functioning. Cooper and Wilson stood at their stations, both looking pale but determined. None of them had more than a few days left before their enhancements failed completely. They all knew it would be their last battle. The Dominion flagship is massive, Lisa reported, her enhanced vision studying the enemy formation. Their supreme commander must be personally leading this attack. Grant's tactical processors, though failing, still worked faster than any computer. Then we end this today. One final mission. Captain Miller stepped forward, concern clear on his blue features. Your team can barely stand. This is suicide. We're already dead, Grant replied calmly. But we can still choose how we die. He turned to his team. One last fight. We take out their leadership, just like we did at Jupiter. The Alliance fleet moved to intercept the Dominion armada near Mars. Grant's team coordinated the defense from their small stealth ship, their enhanced minds pushing through the pain to guide the Allied forces. Their formation has a weakness, Lisa said, her tactical processors highlighting a small gap in the enemy's defense. It's tiny, but our ship could slip through. Grant nodded. The plan was simple but desperate. While the Alliance fleet engaged the Dominion forces, their small team would infiltrate the enemy flagship. One final mission to end the war. The battle began with a massive exchange of fire. The Alliance fleet, though outnumbered, fought with everything they had. Grant's team piloted their stealth ship through the chaos, their enhanced reflexes guiding them through gaps that normal pilots couldn't even see. Our enhancements are failing faster now, Cooper reported, his markings almost invisible. The neural load of combat is accelerating the breakdown. We just need a few more minutes, Grant said as their ship reached the Dominion flagship. Their enhanced strength, what remained of it, would be needed for what came next. They breached the flagship's hull using precise explosives. The super soldiers fought their way through the massive ship, their centuries of combat experience making up for their failing enhancements. Every step was painful, but they kept moving. Enemy commanders located, Wilson called out, his enhanced senses picking up vital signs through the walls. 2 decks up. They fought their way to the command center, their bodies breaking down with each passing minute. Torres collapsed after clearing a hallway of enemies, his enhancements finally giving out. Cooper fell next, protecting their rear. Almost there, Grant said, supporting Lisa as they reached the command center doors. Wilson covered their advance but took a fatal hit in the process. Inside the command center, the Dominion Supreme Commander faced them with his elite guards. Lisa's enhancement markings flared one last time as she took down 3 guards before falling. Grant stood alone, his body failing but his mind still sharp. The Supreme Commander raised his weapon, but Grant had already calculated the exact angle of attack. His final enhancement-boosted move was perfectly executed. As the Supreme Commander fell, Grant activated the charges they had planted throughout their advance. His enhanced mind had planned it all. The charges would create a chain reaction in the flagship's power core. He sat down heavily in the command chair, his enhancement markings going dark. Through the viewport, he could see the Alliance fleet still fighting. The explosion would cripple the entire Dominion command structure. Mission accomplished, he whispered, closing his eyes as the first explosions began to rock the massive ship. The super soldiers had completed their final mission. The war's outcome now rested in the hands of those they had fought to protect. 3 months after the destruction of the Dominion flagship, Earth celebrated its first peaceful sunrise in years. The explosion that had destroyed the enemy command ship had done more than just kill their leaders. It had shattered the Dominion's empire completely. Captain Miller stood at the window of the new Alliance Memorial Building, looking at the statue being unveiled in the courtyard. 5 figures cast in bronze, their poses strong and determined, faced the rising sun. The names below read, Commander Thomas Grant, Lisa Reed, Michael Torres, David Cooper, and Robert Wilson. Their sacrifice changed everything, Dr. White said, joining him at the window. She held a tablet displaying her latest research. But that's not their only legacy. The research data showed something remarkable. In the months since the war's end, doctors had begun noticing strange changes in some of their patients. Small things at first: faster healing, quicker reflexes, enhanced mental processing. The super soldier's enhancements, Miller said, understanding dawning on his blue features. They weren't just breaking down at the end. They were spreading. Dr. White completed his thought. Their modified genes somehow transferred into the general population during their last months of fighting. Not the full modifications, Those were too extreme. But smaller, stable versions. She showed him more data. Children born in the past few months showed signs of mild enhancement. Better immune systems, slightly improved strength and intelligence. The changes were subtle but undeniable. "They're still protecting us," Miller said softly. "Even now." The ceremony in the courtyard began. Thousands gathered to honor the 5 soldiers who had changed the course of history. The Alliance Council had declared this day a permanent holiday, Guardian Day. Admiral Stone, who had commanded the Alliance fleet in that final battle, stepped up to speak. "They came from a different time, but they gave everything for our future. The Dominion Empire is gone. Their conquered worlds are free, and humanity stands stronger than ever before." In hospitals across Earth, doctors continued to document the changes. The human race was evolving, becoming something new. Not the extreme modifications that had killed the super soldiers, but sustainable improvements that made each generation slightly stronger than the last. The Alliance archives recorded everything about Project Guardian, ensuring the soldiers' story would never be forgotten. Their tactical innovations became standard training for all military forces. Their sacrifice became legend. But in a small research lab, Dr. White made one final discovery. She found a message left in the computer system by Lisa Reed during their final days. Playing it, she saw the soldier's tired but determined face. "To those who find this, we knew what was happening to us. Our enhancements weren't just failing. They were adapting, becoming something that could survive, something that could be passed on. The human race will face more challenges in the future. We won't be there to fight those battles, but maybe in some small way, we can help humanity be ready for them." The message ended. Dr. White sent it directly to the Memorial Archives. 1 year after the war's end, humanity began its first missions to reclaim abandoned colonies. The ships carried crews who were slightly stronger, slightly faster, slightly smarter than their ancestors. Not super soldiers, but enhanced humans who could better face the challenges ahead. At the memorial statue, children played, their movements just a bit quicker than children of the past. They grew up hearing stories about the 5 soldiers from the past who had saved humanity's future. But they didn't know that they themselves were part of that legacy, that in their blood flowed the last gift of Project Guardian. The sun set on a changed Earth. The super soldiers were gone, but their sacrifice had done more than win a war. It had given humanity a future they could never have imagined. A future where each generation would be better equipped to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Their final mission had never really ended. It lived on in every human birth, in every small advancement, in every step humanity took toward its destiny among the stars. The war was over, but humanity's evolution had just begun.